stutter, that's the worst thing.
Good evening. My name is Carla Hillman. I will be tonight's moderator. Tonight, the League of Women Voters of the Kewanee area is partnering with WKEI Radio 1450 AM and 102.1 FM. We are broadcasting live from the Kewanee City Hall. You can watch on regional daily news on Facebook Live, and after the broadcast, a recording on both Facebook and the radio station's website, and that website is regionalmedianews.com. For the audience here, please raise your hand if you cannot hear. This evening, we will hear from the candidates for the competitive offices of, in order, Kewanee City Council, Weathersfield School Board, Blackhawk College Board of Trustees, and Kewanee Township Trustees. The format of this forum is as follows. Each candidate is allowed a 2-minute opening statement, which will occur in ballot order. Then there will be questions from the audience and the moderator. I will tell the audience when they may approach the floor mic. You will need to state your name before asking your question. Please tell if the question is to some of the candidates or all of them. Stay at the mic until your question is answered. The candidates will have 1 minute to answer the audience question. Due to having 4 races tonight, the moderator may have to cut off the time for the audience questions. However, since all candidates are not here tonight, we'll see if we need to cut off, if I will have to cut off questions or not. Depends how many there are from the audience and from me. Then candidates will give a 2-minute closing statement, which will occur in reverse ballot order. Afterwards, the audience and candidates are invited to stay for refreshments. Next is a policy. The following is a policy of the League of Women Voters of Illinois. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the accuracy of statements made by candidates. It is the responsibility of the public, news media, opposing candidates, etc., to fact check statements made by candidates if deemed necessary. Now we will start the forum. Okay. The first portion of the forum is the race for Kewanee City Council. 5 are running, and you may vote for up to 2 on the ballot. What? Oh, this? Okay. Okay, we're adjusting the mic. Okay. I'll repeat that. 5 are running for city council, and you may vote for up to 2 on the ballot. We will start with opening statements in ballot order. You have 2 minutes. First on the ballot is Tyrone Baker, but he was unable to be here. So next is Steve Faber, and you have 2 minutes, and the timer is over there.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Steve Faber. I've been on the council officially for 8 years, but I've been in this since 15. I've lived in Kewanee my whole life. Actually, I lived 62 years in the same neighborhood where I was born at, which is kind of unusual, but had to move because I needed a 1-floor house for health reasons. Basically, I have 3 kids, 3 boys, and my wife has a boy and a girl. So we got plenty of kids running around all the time, grandkids and stuff. And that's about all I can tell you about myself personally.
Okay, next will be Adam Cernovich.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Hillman, League of Women Voters, for hosting this important event tonight. My name is Adam Cernovich, and I'm proud to call Kewanee home. This town holds a special place in my heart, not just because my wife Angie and I grew up here, but because, like you, we're choosing to raise our family here. We have 3 wonderful children, Camden, Gavin, and Chloe. We want the best for our children, our community, and our shared future. That is why I'm running for City Council. For the past 25 years, I've had the honor of serving our country in the Coast Guard, where, in addition to being a helicopter pilot, my focus was on engineering program management. Now I'm excited to bring those skills and experiences back home to serve the community that has given me and my family so much. I'm passionate about working together to find solutions that benefit all of us. I believe that investing in our infrastructure, our roads, our water, our sewer, our electrical and internet are essential and overdue. I also believe economic development is the foundation of any successful community. I will pursue local stakeholder partnerships, committing to fostering economic development, crucial for a brighter future for all Kewaneans. I look forward to hearing your ideas and working alongside you. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the ballot for Kewanee City Council is William Scott Withrow, but he was unable to be here. So next on the ballot is Aubrey Blumenshine.
Correct. Hello, my name is Aubrey Blumenshine. I'd like to start first by thanking the League of Women Voters for organizing and hosting the forum tonight. For those of you in attendance and those watching or listening at home, thank you as well. And to my fellow candidates, thank you for your time and participation this evening. It's a privilege to be here tonight, not only for myself, but for my family as well, who walked out of the room. My wife, Catherine, and I moved to Kewanee in 2023, not just for a family connection or that we had found a home that we might purchase, but because after all things were weighed, we saw the potential in what our life could be like here, and save a few tornadoes, we've been happy to call the city home. Through involvement with local charitable organizations such as Kiwanis Club, to frequenting public spaces like the Kewanee Public Library, and even participating in local charitable events, I've been able to meet wonderful new friends and build a positive role for myself in the community. And I will continue to do so regardless of the outcome of this election. My professional experience has taught me many things over the years, from the sorting lines of a food processing plant to the sterile operating room of an animal hospital, from supervising production crews in a chemical manufacturing facility to sitting on the board of directors for a homeowners association. I've learned the value of hard work and of good processes. I understand the importance of budgeting and operating work efficiently. I believe in practical solutions and teamwork. I'm running for city council because of the tremendous community service opportunity that it presents. Kewanee will face many challenges in the years to come, from declining population to aging infrastructure in need of repair and replacement, to fire and police pension funds trending away from state-mandated funding level requirements. Efficiency, frugality, debt reduction, these are some of the tools that we can use to tackle the challenges the community will face while working to mitigate increasing tax burdens along the way. My time is up, so I bid you all adieu. Thank you very much. Not adieu.
Okay. Now we will have questions from the moderator and the audience. People may now approach the floor mic to ask a question. And the floor mic's over there. Candidates have 1 minute to respond. Now, initially, if there's not an audience question, I'll ask one of the questions. I'll ask a question. Okay. State your name and ask your question, and tell if it's to some or all of the candidates.
I'm just doing this to break the ice. My name is Jessica Fornander. I am a Kewanee citizen, and my question to you is, when you think of Kewanee, what is instantly what you think of, whether it be a place, an item, a person? And that question is to all of them. Thank you.
Was that to all of us?
Okay. Yeah. Now, I'll pick a time. I'll try not to have the same person keep answering first. Okay, so that's why I'm keeping track here. So this time, I'll go ahead and do the ballot order thing. Okay, we'll do Steve Faber first.
Well, to answer your question, this is one of the best places that I've visited over my life to raise kids. I mean, we watch out for our children in this town. We try and improve it for safety for the kids. You got to give credit to our park district too, because they do a fantastic job of keeping our kids entertained and stuff off the streets. But it means, that's why I never left. I mean, I love Kewanee, been here forever, and I'll never leave.
Next, let's have Adam Cernovich answer.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks for the question. First thing that pops into my mind, hog capital of the world, right? I mean, I know we don't have as many pig farms as we used to when we were growing up, but nonetheless, that's a source of pride for the community and Boilermakers. Graduate from Kewanee High School. I know Angie's dad worked at the boiler shop. Many of us have memories there. That was certainly a sad day to watch that office building go down. But those are the two things that are a source of pride for me. Thanks.
And now, do remember, just because the card says 30 seconds, you still have 30 seconds is a long time, okay, and everything, because some people, okay, now, no audience question, okay, I'll ask a question.
Aubrey didn't get a chance.
Oh, Aubrey, I'm sorry. Okay, next to answer is Aubrey Blumenschein.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Besides the obvious, like my new home or a peaceful place to raise my daughter, because believe me, it's compared to where my wife and I moved from, the quality of life, the pace of life, the quality of people it's far more quiet and peaceful than where we came from. But ultimately, what I think of is potential. When I look at Kewanee, I see a lot of potential for the future and the immediate. I see a working middle-class community. I see people that genuinely love the city and want to see good things happen here. So, yeah, I mean, in short, my answer is just potential. The potential for the city is limitless as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. No audience question. Okay, I'll ask a question. Okay. In your opinion, what are the 3 most important challenges facing the community, and what actions do you propose to overcome them? I guess this time I'll just move down. I'll start with Adam Cernovich will be first.
So top 3 challenges that we view in the city. So my focus areas include infrastructure, economics, and housing. Infrastructure obviously is a hot topic at the moment, but streets, sewer, water has to be at the top of our list to deal with. That's going to take an integrated plan. That's going to take individual assessments of each system. That's going to require in-depth analysis, talking with our first line workers that are the experts in the area. That's going to be talking with industry experts to do market analysis, and that's going to require sound budgeting and program management at the city level. I believe that my experience in my work in the past 25 years has set me up for success to help Kewanee walk that path. Economics, my time's up, but obviously we know infrastructure is our top priority at the moment. Thank you.
Next we'll do Aubrey Blumenschein.
3 pressing issues for Kewanee. An immediate one is declining population. I think long-term residents of the city understand the demographics of the city, and they understand that the tax base is declining. So as the tax base declines, tax rates increase on those that remain. So that's definitely a challenge. Scrutinizing spending, basically penny pinching and making every effort you can to reduce debt can go a long way to helping with that. Infrastructure, economics, I believe kind of go hand in hand with that. Economics starts with the infrastructure. You got to do something about the water, you got to do something about the roads so you can attract new businesses here, so you can attract new people here. I mean, it's pretty obvious, I think, to everybody in the room what the issues are for town. The left hand washes the right, and so we just kind of need to get on the ball.
Next is Stephen Faber.
Well, I agree with you on those points. It's just, it's very difficult with our tax base to get enough money to really make a difference. The biggest problem has been past councils kicking the can down the road. And now it's to a point where we're gonna have to do something, one way or the other. We gotta figure it out. And it's gonna take a combined effort to do it. But I'd like to see more businesses here, not the big box stores, but I'd like to see, our small town, we want regular stores again. And of course, infrastructure, everybody knows about that. It's pretty well done, but coming up with the money is tough. It really is.
Okay, no audience question at this time. Oh, I have some more questions I can ask. Okay, maybe I'll do this.
We have a question, Carla.
Oh, you do? Okay. We'll do an audience question.
Hello, I'm a citizen. My name is Dulce Maria Contreras, and I was just wondering what and why made you guys run for city council? And the question is to all three of them.
Okay, let me pick an order.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't catch that.
Well, I'll
I
have
forgot
you
my
repeat
hearing.
it.
The question was what and why made you run for city council?
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
Oh, I gotta pick an order. Okay, let's do, order, okay, let's do Aubrey Blumenshine first.
I'll just reiterate that it's a tremendous community service opportunity. When I decided to run for city council, it wasn't out of any kind of personal ambition. It was more of a feeling that I appreciate Kewanee and I appreciate the opportunity of lifestyle that the city has provided me and my family, and I have a drive to be active in the community and do the best that I can for the community. So that's what led me to joining local charitable clubs, participating in any charitable event that I can participate in while I'm here, and then ultimately that's what informed my decision to throw my hat in the ring and run for city council.
Okay, next, Adam Cernovich.
Yeah, Aubrey, great. Obviously, what Aubrey's saying right there is why any of us are up here. It's an opportunity to give back. We're all involved in different ways, whether that's teaching junior achievement, coaching, volunteering with social organizations. But it's a belief that we can add to the solution. I laid out kind of where I'm looking at infrastructure. I look at my past and some of the things that I was fortunate enough to do in the Coast Guard in terms of engineering and integrating long-range repair plans. And I look at the challenges and I believe that my skill sets are aligned with the challenges. And so I want to be part of the solution for our community.
And next, Stephen Faber.
Well, when I started this, I was all for the people. I mean, some people have agendas on their own, I don't. I mean, I go by what the people tell me they want. I mean, if you paid attention to the city council meetings, I have people that text me and call me and stuff, and if they want me to vote a certain way, we've got to vote that way, because they're the ones that put us there. I mean, we can't just decide what we want to do if they want something else. It's their money.
Okay. Okay, next I'll ask a question. Meanwhile, the audience could be thinking if they would like to ask a question after this one. Last Friday was the deadline for the city to receive bids on operating the wastewater and water plant, and alternatively for taking over the entire water and sewer systems. In other words, the city council could decide, and you have to tell me if this is the correct word, Okay. In other words, the city council could decide to, quote, sell Kewanee's water and sewer systems to a private company. Please comment on the need, pros and cons of doing so, and according to an article I read, bids will be considered at the March 24th council meeting. Now, since this might be a little involved, I'm gonna take prerogative, and I'll let you have 2 minutes to answer this one, because I asked for the need, the pros and cons, and so on. If you only want to take a minute, that's fine, okay? So, now in 2 minutes, and let me get an order here, and I'm looking, how about, first, Adam Cernovich.
Thank you. Tackle the elephant in the room here. Primarily, what I want to start with is I share the community's concerns. This is an enormous issue on the table. The first part of the issue, which of the request for proposal that the city put out, was for managing our water system, our reverse osmosis, and our waste treatment plant. This is already something that's managed by Bach and is something that of a normal course of procedure is to be put out for RFP, but that is a set aside of the question, I believe. The need of our water system to be addressed is indisputable. A month ago, I believe, we had a presentation by an engineering analysis firm that laid out very specific detail of what was required both to meet EPA regulation and to reinvest in our infrastructure for the longevity of Kewanee's future. So those things need to happen. How do we tackle those? What are the pros and cons? Do we manage that in-house? Do we decide what has to be done using the expertise of the people that already work for Kewanee to manage outside firms to come in and do some of the work? Or do we sell our entire plant to a corporation and expect them to do their best for us without controlling it any longer? And believe that there will be a magic button that produces money. I don't believe that that's going to happen. I think a lot of you don't believe that that's going to happen, and I believe that we need to do a lot more research and have several more discussions before we ever start walking down that particular road. So I am not for selling our water treatment or potable water systems. Thank you.
I just want to ask, you did allow 2 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to, okay, next I'll go to Stephen Faber.
Well, this just came up not that long ago, really, that we were informed about it. As far as I know, we slightly discussed it, and that's as far as we went. We haven't seen the contract, we haven't seen the wording yet, but say for instance, if we do sell it, I don't want to get rid of it unless we have control over the pricing. We got to have some control over it. Because I remember what happened in Neponset and Macomb. We can't afford $350 a month water bills. And that's what could potentially happen if we can't keep our hands on it. So, but on the other hand, we got to do a lot of money repairing that place too. Roughly about $12 million. So this is going to be a really tough vote. It really is. If I can see a lot of good and I can see a lot of bad.
Okay, next will be Aubrey Blumenshine.
I think that the positive is obvious, $34 million, or the potential of $34 million, because after a 12-month exploratory period to determine the fair market value of the system, that number could go up, that number could go down. I'll just give you some facts. Illinois Water Company is a subsidiary of American Water Company, which is the largest privately owned utility company in the United States of America. Okay? we most likely will not be able to secure control of any rate increases, as American Water Company was the main lobbyist behind the 2013 state law known as the Water Privatization Act, which also includes the Water Viability Act. The Water Viability Act states that any privately owned utility company that purchases a utility is allowed a 2.5% rate increase just on the merit of purchasing the utility itself. Over the last 24 months, Illinois American Water Company has been able to convince the Illinois Commerce Commission to increase their rates by $195 million in Illinois. So, profits over people. I believe that privatizing public utilities should be a last-ditch effort for a dying community, and I don't think that's what Kewanee is. And I understand that it's hard to generate money, and I understand that, you know what, the rates are probably going to increase for us. But the fact of the matter is that for myself, personally, I would rather pay the city that money to ensure that our water is healthy and flowing than pay that to some company that's main motivation is profit, okay? The city's motivation is your health. That company's motivation is pure profit, and I'm 100% against that. Profits over people, I'll stand on that.
Okay, that concludes that question. Still not an audience question. Let's go to this question.
People over profits. I think I just realized that I said that backwards, my mistake.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I just
I'm
went
just
a
worried
180
about
and
what's
flipped
next.
it. I was sitting here thinking, did I just really say that out loud? What am I doing? I appreciate you, sir.
How will the city council adapt to any future state and federal funding? What changes do you foresee? And I gotta pick an order. How about, on you, Aubrey Blumenshine.
If I'm understanding the question correctly, what I'm understanding the question to be is how will we adapt to any potential decreases or increases in federal
Yeah,
money
say
that
that.
flows down to the state that might flow down to our local municipality? That's a really difficult question to answer at this juncture. It's almost, you can't know what crossing that bridge looks like until you're on the precipice of stepping across that bridge. I would like to think that the best way that we could handle it would be, again, I would reiterate, just being as frugal as possible, eliminate, Kewanee doesn't have a ton of wasteful spending, so that's not what I'm getting at, but just scrutinizing the spending, saving as much as you can, moving additional money over to debt reduction. Debt reduction now allows the city to take on more bonds in the future for more projects. So there's value in making extra payments to reduce debt. And that's one way that we can mitigate the ever-changing landscape of the federal government.
Okay. Next, Stephen Faber.
Well, I've been dealing with this for quite a while. It's very difficult, like Aubrey said, that you just can't predict what the government's going to do next. I would hope that our council would be smart enough, whoever's in at that time, that we can deal with this question really well. I have no doubt that we'll figure it out one way or the other. But as far as wasteful spending, there's very little of it right now because we're so tied up. And I can see cuts coming down the line somewhere eventually, unless money starts coming up.
Next, Adam Cernovich.
So I agree with my fellow running mates here. We can't control what the state mandates as a non-home rule community. What we can do is do our best to pursue sources of revenue, whether that's grants. The city has many successes recently for pursuing grants. Definitely continue to do that. Pursue new sources of revenue. That's the economic development plan that we talked about. But one thing I definitely want to bring up to everybody is to call your representative. I've spoken to Travis Weaver's office here, which is just in the rail station, the Amtrak station downtown here. But the Local Government Distribution Fund, LGDF. Okay, prior to 2016, That is a share of state income taxes. The state used to give us 10%. They are now giving us 6.47% of that. And House Bill 1282, again, House Bill 1282 is presented before the General Assembly to return the LGDF to 10%. That represents roughly $1 million a year for our community. That's real money. So please call your state representatives for that.
No audience question? Okay, let's see, maybe another one. Okay. Okay, how do you plan to involve residents in Kewanee in the decision-making process that affects them? Order, okay. Let's do Stephen Faber first.
Well, I've always tried to do what the people want anyhow, but sometimes we have to make tough decisions here. Sometimes they don't like our decisions, and I understand that totally, but we're always trying to look for the greater good. You know, I mean, as a country, I noticed that we cater to the 1%, and I'm sorry, we need to cater to the majority of the people and not do the 1% stuff. I think everything will turn out right if we just keep an eye on everything really close.
Next is Aubrey Blumenshine.
Well, I think that anybody who has interacted with me in person or online knows that I more or less have made my bones in this campaign by interacting with the public, listening to the public, soaking in your ideas, your concerns, taking your criticisms, sometimes sometimes, unfounded. I'm sure you more than know about all that. And so I will continue to be that way. I will continue to be available to the public. I will continue to engage the public, to speak with the public, and I will always do my best to act in the public's interest.
Okay, and last, Adam Cernovich.
The last thing anybody wants is a survey, but we do need to have community forums and a survey. The last survey that this city commissioned was in 2016. So the comprehensive master plan was adopted in 95, revised in 2000, with some minor revisions in 2022. We need to know what the city wants, where the city wants to go, so we can define it, put it down in writing, and start to make decisions as a city council in reference to our plan, so that we can reach those intermediate steps along the way to make sure we get there. So again, we need to have city forums, we need to have a survey, we need to write down a plan based on your input. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, is there an audience question? Okay, yes.
Good evening, my name is Joel Hasse. What two things would be on, what two items would be on top of your list for economic development in Kewanee, other than what's already going on with some work that's out by the prison and stuff like that, and a few things over here on the south side of town? What are the two biggest items for economic development for each one of you? Thank you.
How about, Aubrey Blumenshine.
Two biggest, I can say this much. As far as economic development goes, I think that creating incentives for local businesses to start up and also for outside businesses to come to Kewanee, creating incentives through whatever mechanism that might be, tax incentives, typically that's what businesses want to see is tax incentives. I've actually heard, maybe some of the longtime residents can attest to this, I've heard for specific example Menards, that in the late 90s Menards wanted to build a Menards here, but the city wasn't willing to meet them. So instead of building the Menards, they just rented out an old Kmart, and now you have the worst Menards in the whole dang chain of Menards. When in reality, here we are 25 years later, and the time that they wanted would have already passed. Their tax breaks would have already expired, and we would have a giant Menards here that employed twice the amount of people. So I think just simply coming up with creative incentives to get businesses here and also arm local would-be business owners with what they need to start up a business.
Next, Adam Cernovich.
Sure, thank you for the question. Two things for economic development. One, clearly re-engage with the KEDC, define objectives with the KEDC, and pursue creation of a small business sanctuary in the downtown district. We want to see an inviting downtown. We want to leverage the grant that's scheduled to kick off this summer. We want to pursue follow-on grants. I understand that we were not successful in the first follow-on, but we need to re-engage with our partners that helped us be successful on the initial grant award. Secondarily, we need to push our TIF services. We can't wait for businesses to come find out and ask questions how to apply for TIF. We need to push that out there so we can help leverage private investment with those public funds. We have a company that's building in town right now that over the next 10 years will provide $400,000 in TIF increment to this city. That's real money. We need to go out and find more of those companies that are willing to come here.
Okay. Next, Stephen Faber.
Well, we've looked at all these points, and I've been trying for years to get a women's apparel store here. And what we got to do is get rid of these hoops. I mean, there's no excuse why Galva can have 90 days, have a business open that wants to come there, where ours, we're still messing around a year later on it. I mean, that's not a way to get businesses here. You got to roll out the red carpet for them, so to say, that entice them. I mean, we even engaged on startup businesses, purchasing a couple buildings downtown, and help people start a business. You start a business, it might not go. But this way you don't have your whole life savings stuck into it. And if it goes, then you can move on from it.
Okay. Okay, I think now we'll say the audience question time is done. And what's next is now time to do the closing statements in reverse ballot order. You have 2 minutes. So first is Aubrey Blumenshine.
Oh, well, that wasn't nearly as terrifying as I thought it was going to be. In closing, I would just want to reiterate my belief in the potential of Kewanee. I know that with teamwork, with thoughtful, pragmatic work, we can build a strong, sustainable city, not just in the immediate, but for generations to come. Past that, I just want to reiterate my thanks for my fellow candidates, everybody that came out underneath the threat of some more weather, everybody that's watching at home. I really appreciate everybody's time, and I really appreciate everybody's consideration. Thank you.
Next is Adam Cernovich.
Thank you for the conversation, gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Hillman. Thank you for the opportunity to exchange ideas. Communication is important in the governance process. I hope to be your representative on the City Council and lead with your best interests at the forefront of each decision. There is little disagreement that our infrastructure is aging, tough discussions are ahead, and I'm concerned that those discussions are not being held with the level of transparency and collaboration that required to keep the community informed and involved. I'm committed to welcoming productive input and supporting your right to timely information. I embrace accountability through transparency. I believe I have the skill set and experience necessary to lead in these areas. As your city councilman, I will put in the time and effort to do the necessary research to provide proactive counsel and not just reactive decisions. I thank you for your time, and I ask for your vote on April 1st. Thank you.
Okay. And then last, Steve Faber.
Let's see. I will never quit working on, even if I'm not on the council anymore, I'm not going to stop until we get our infrastructure straightened out. Privately or however I got to do it. that was my top concern when I first got it. And it's according to your survey that we took, the top two was streets and sidewalks. And we have not, that's why they want to do another survey. Why do another survey if we haven't completed the first one? You know, that's what, I can't remember, it was $20,000 or $30,000 for the survey, and we haven't even completed that yet. So I can't see wasting the money at this time for that.
Okay, now, just hang on for a second. Now we move to the second portion of this forum. We will take time for candidates to leave and the next set to come up to the front. Okay, now, lead helpers, let me just say about the, we're not changing name cards because I don't think anyone's here for the next race, but I still want to tell about it. Okay, so we're not changing name cards yet. I'll let them leave.
There's so much stuff behind the scenes that are going on.
Just a moment.
If you get on.
If you want to take a water bottle, you can, or you can leave it for the next person. Okay. Okay. First, I want to clarify, I need to ask out in the audience, it's correct that none of the candidates for Weathersfield School Board are here? Okay. I'll still will tell about the race, so just a second. The second portion of the forum would have been the Weathersfield School Board race. 5 are running, and you can vote for up to 4 on the ballot. Okay? Now, since none of those candidates are here, give us a moment, because we're now going to get ready for the next race, so we have to change some name cards, and so on. Okay, so just wait a moment. So you're putting up the Blackhawk College race. And how many were here? 4. So we got 4. Okay, you're getting it done in ballot order? Okay. Okay. I'm making a note. If not. Go ahead. Oh, okay, just a second. We can check. Yeah, I'll get. The Blackhawk College candidates can start coming up and find your seat. And she's putting out water bottles. And then radio, does it look, oh, do we need to change the angle? We'll have the people sit and then we'll decide if the name, how the name cards are. I'll come in one.
There we go.
What do you think? We're the kind of know. The 4 cards are in order, so we think they can figure it out. Okay, I think we are ready for the third portion of the forum. This portion is for Blackhawk College Board of Trustees. 4 are running, and you may vote for up to 2 on the ballot. We will start with opening statements in ballot order. You have 2 minutes. First on the ballot is Doug Strand, and you may start.
Thank you, Carla, and thank you, the League of Women Voters from Kewanee. My name is Doug Strand. I am presently on the board and wish to remain on the board. I was at this forum a long time ago in this same thing. It was kind of interesting and stuff like that. I spent 40 years as an educator in East Moline at United Township High School, where I taught economics, history, and finance. I've taken a class or 2 at Blackhawk myself. I actually taught for Blackhawk back when, some night classes at the East Moline Correctional Center. That was very interesting. I've been on a number of different boards. Again, this has been on the board the last 2 terms, 12 years. And I've been on the Service Plus Credit Union Board for about 15 years, back when. I was on the East Moline City Council for a number of years. I was on the Police Pension Board, and I am presently on the Board of Trustees for the State of Illinois Teacher Retirement Fund System. For any of you, anybody teachers out there, we're looking out for you guys. Okay. I know my grandfather was a Chicago policeman, and I was my divorced parents. We lived with my grandfather, Chicago policeman, and he said, you need to give back to the community. And so by doing all the stuff that I've done, a lot of it is to give a little back to the community. And that's part of the reason that I've served on the board and would like to serve one more time.
Next is Mark Carlson.
Thank you. I'm Mark Carlson, and I want to thank you for the invitation to come here tonight, and thank you all for taking time to come in. I graduated from Blackhawk in 1981. There were 2 professors that knew how to deal with a young man that wasn't ready to go off to 4-year college. They prepped me. They actually had interviews that came in. They started me on a career with Digital Equipment Corporation that lasted 36 years. Doug Boehner and John Lambert, I would say, read me as a young man and knew where my strengths were and knew what I could do. They knew I wasn't ready. John had talked me into heading down to Bradley, and as things went along, and this opportunity came along, we had a long talk about it, and he said, go do this for a couple of years. 36 years later, I realized, you know what, I never went back. I've been on boards since starting in the days of the JCs, and Crime Stoppers Board, Chamber Ambassador. I was the John Deere Community Hero a couple of years ago. I've been the Chamber Volunteer of the Year. My kids are growing up, they're on good paths. It's time to give back to the people in the college that started me on my path, and to see to it that the students coming in there, especially some of those kids that were like me, have the professors and have the guidance more than just the books and the education. People that can set them on the direction they need.
Next is John Looney.
Thank you, Ms. Hillman. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for having a forum tonight. We really appreciate you coming out to hear about the future of Blackhawk College. My name is John Looney. I'm a lifelong resident of Kewanee. My wife and daughter reside here. My daughter is currently at Weathersfield taking dual enrollment and dual credit classes. I'm a Blackhawk College alum, and one quick story I want to share with you is Blackhawk College has been in my blood forever. My mom and my dad met at Blackhawk College. My wife and I met at Blackhawk College, but it's even deeper than that. My mother not only took ASL classes to be a sign language interpreter, she went back for her associates in accounting. That allowed her to move up and get a job at Compaction America. That changed her life. When I was on the board from 2017 to 2023, I can tell you, when you go to graduation, you look at those students in the eyes, you see what they've achieved. You can see they are about to change their lives. Blackhawk College is what makes that possible. That is why I want to be on the board again. Locally, I'm the Rotary President currently. I'm also a Girl Scout leader, amongst many other roles. But the number one thing is, in this community, is Blackhawk College is a driver not only of this community, but in the Quad Cities as well. We need to have Blackhawk College get back to connecting with the community working with us on economic development, working with our students, not only the students that come out of high school, but those students who go back to school. Those students who are either laid off or they want to look at another job. We need to do that for the students of our district, for the citizens of our district, keep the cost down, keep educational reasonable and obtainable. Thank you.
Okay, next is Dougal Nelson.
Well, thank you, Ms. Hillman, for the invitation to speak to you this evening. Thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting, and thanks for the community for coming out. My name is Dougal Nelson, and I'm currently the President and Chief Executive Officer at Junior Achievement of the Heartland. I've been involved in nonprofits and nonprofit boards for about 25 years of my professional career. It's been very rewarding for me. The reason I'm running for Blackhawk College Board of Trustees is because I am passionate about helping young people find a career that they know and they love. It's really important that they understand how important it is to provide for themselves and their families and how to be a good community-minded citizen. I think Blackhawk College is really the catalyst for that, right? I know they're helping not only young people find career pathways, but they're also helping non-traditional students maybe redefine where they're at in life and redefine their careers. I think my role at Junior Achievement will be very beneficial to the college. My exposure to teachers and administrators throughout 24 counties in Iowa and Illinois, including Henry County here, really has led me down the path to understand the issues that go on today and what do our young people need and how can we help them succeed. Another really important part of my role at Junior Achievement is bringing businesses into the classroom, business leaders. I hear it every day that employers just say, we can't find good people, right? Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Let's let Blackhawk College show them the talent that we have there. I really believe in higher education. I think it's important for our young people, but let's face it, every kid isn't going to be a doctor or a lawyer, right? Blackhawk College is doing a great job of really helping them plan their education and continue to enter the workforce. Just kind of remind me of a quote. Let me go real quick. Everyone wins when people are given the chance to show what they can do. I know Blackhawk does that. Thank you.
Now we will have questions from the moderator and the audience. People may now approach the floor mic to ask a question. Mic's over there. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond. Any questions from the floor mic? No. Okay. Let's see. Okay. In your opinion, what are the 3 most important challenges facing Blackhawk College and what actions do you propose to overcome them? Okay, let's go, let's do first, Dougal Nelson.
Thank you. I think there's a lot of challenges with any college. The barriers to entry seem to be pretty great, right? No one should be held back from finding a career just because they can't afford it, right? Blackhawk College is doing a great job with scholarships and such, so they're on the front end of that. I want that to continue. I also think there's hurdles like we think about childcare, right? And people are making a decision. Should I pay for childcare or should I pursue a career? And they have to make that choice. And I just don't think that's right. So Blackhawk, in my opinion, is doing a great job moving in that direction. Transportation's another issue, getting people back and forth to the college. And I know they're working with some local folks on that as well.
Next, John Mooney.
Thank you so much. So one of the big things that Blackhawk College has done is they've addressed things like hunger, transportation, and they've addressed other barriers to try to get students in the door. They also have a free application week, which, I mean, they've done a great job of that. Some of the big issues we have, take a look at our facilities at East Campus. If you walk in the main building there, buildings A, B, and C, they were built in 1978. They look like a cave, folks. We really need to redo that. If you take a look at the buildings in the Quad City campus, we are very proud of them. We need to do the same thing at East Campus. The other thing we need to do is we also need to get another program going at Blackhawk College, what our community needs. What that is, I don't know yet. But if you talk about Blackhawk College, you talk about ag, you talk about nursing, you might talk about vet tech. We need another title program. Last but not least, the third thing we need to do is we need to look at beyond 2 years. We need to look at bachelor's degrees for community colleges. If the number one thing students tell me at Blackhawk College East campuses, I wish this was 4 years.
Next is Mark Carlson.
So I guess not in any particular order, but technology has changed the role, especially with children, and being in front of the counselors, being in front of the professors, the one-on-one. Again, my experience was the college was a great facility, but it was the people that made the difference in my experience and set me on a path. John is right, there is some need, no question. A lot of nice facilities, upgrades, and there is some more need down here. The thing that is looming for all colleges is demographics. A few years down the road, we just aren't, we're going to be competing for students. There's just the numbers and the demographics, there's a change coming, and all colleges are going to be looking at a problem.
Okay. Next is Doug Strand.
I agree with the idea of the technology. Blackhawk has made a lot of improvements on both campuses, but technology is foremost in the future, definitely. Financially, I know that as an old accountant before I was a teacher, Blackhawk keeps getting shorted. I'm going to give you an example of what the state does, and I've been fighting this with the TRS. The governor sets out a budget, let's say $1, and then he says, no, we have to plan, you can only get 85 cents. Population, very important. The demographics, as were mentioned, have been down. Blackhawk is now at the Quad City campus about 1,900, and the East Campus is around 360 some. East Campus actually grew a little higher percent, but they had smaller numbers. So the demographics are out there. Being a teacher from a long time, you see the things going on, trying to get kids. I've helped hundreds of kids get to Blackhawk College. A lot of kids have gone there, even a few down here. So it's population, and the thing I say most of all is enrollment. Thank you.
Okay, looks like there might be a question at the audience mic.
My name is Gary Moore, and my question is to all four of you. I've had the good fortune to work at both campuses through the campus police department. And what would all four of you do to ensure the equality between both campuses? It was briefly touched upon here in some of your answers, but I would like to see that expounded upon.
Okay, we will start with John Looney.
Gary, thank you so much for the question. As a former staff member there, and as also a former trustee, number one thing you have to do is you have to start talking to the people at each campus. You have to then take a look, you have to evaluate each campus, and also talk to those students as well. Then you can kind of figure out, okay, what's going on here at Quad Cities, what's going on East, what do people like, what's going on? The other thing you have to look at is you have to look at your facilities with an open eye. So you can't go in there and see, so I go to East Campus, I look at the main building. Yeah, carpets on the wall, that's pretty snazzy. I think it's pretty normal to me. Carpet on the wall is not normal these days. Let's just face it. But you have to go with open eyes. You have to be able to talk to people. You have to be able to plan and use that facilities master plan to the college's advantage, not your advantage, the college's advantage. You have to get buy-in from the Quad Cities campus. You have to get buy-in from the East Campus. That's what we're missing. We're missing buy-in from both sides. And we're missing buy-in not only from our faculty units, but also our staff, and also with the administration.
Next, Dougal Nelson.
Thank you very much for the question, Gary. I think when I think about Blackhawk East and Blackhawk and the Quad Cities, I see it as unified. I don't see it as a separate entity. I was at a meeting the other day out at, in North Davenport with the superintendent, and we were talking about the new ag center that they built and how proud they are of that. And I said, you know, what are the kids going to do after this, right? And we talked about Blackhawk College East, and it's almost, I agree, John. I think there's a communication gap between the two. We've got to bring it together, and I don't know if that's through marketing or if that's through you know, grassroots efforts. But Blackhawk College East has programs that the Quad Cities campus doesn't have, right? And I think we just need to make the Quad City folks more aware of that, and I think we need to make Blackhawk College East folks more aware of the opportunities in the Quad Cities. So I do believe there's a communication gap there.
Next, Doug Strand.
Gary, nice to see you again. I forgot you were the mayor. Congrats. I've worked with you before. Communication is important. I know I've encouraged as a board member to have the East Campus student government send up to the Quad City campus some students every so often for half a day, and have some of those people come out here to experience the East Campus thing. The communication, we have, relatively recently, I know John and I were on the committee to search for the new president, Dr. Thomas, who's there now. We've kind of pushed him to make sure he comes down here most every Tuesday. And so we're getting more and more of the communication part, so the president doesn't sit up there in the Quad Cities, he's down here taking a look at what's going on. And so I think there's a little better communication. It's still in the early stages, but I think it's a start in the right direction.
And I appreciate Dr. Thomas spending time at East Campus. That's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Next, Mark Carlson.
So I think thanks for the question, of course, and I do have to say, having a current board member and past board member, I definitely respect where the college is and where it's going and what has been done over the years. And feel a little at a loss between the two of them because I know a lot about it. My years, of course, were up in Moline at the campus, and I did do a lot of service work in my career. Blackhawk used our equipment, so I did service work, so that's the main I know about it. But times around, so I agree with what they're saying, and it's hard to follow the two that probably know a whole lot about this.
Thank you.
I will ask questions. Okay. Blackhawk College is currently searching for a new vice president for instruction. It is extending the search to reach a sufficient pool of qualified candidates. Meanwhile, it is considering hiring an interim vice president. Please comment on what qualifications you're looking for this position, and on if it is a local or national problem of getting an adequate pool of qualified candidates. Order here, let's start with Mark Carlson.
So, our current president, when I met him, I was very duly impressed, and I think finding a vice president that fits in to the role that will allow that to be a good team and continue the path that the college is on. It's on a strong path, and how the search is going, I have to admit, I don't know how deep they are or where they're at. But I think the biggest thing is keeping a cohesive administration, and that will work with the board, and the board can work with and move forward and continue the path it's on.
Next, Doug Strand.
Just recently, I got a text from Dr. Thomas concerning that topic. And I know after having done a national search with John, we're trying to find the best candidate. We think Dr. Thomas has done a pretty good job of bringing the community together. I've heard that from staff members. It's getting to be back when like a community. And we're trying to bring it. Blackhawk College is one school with two strong campuses, each with their own identity. The lady who is in there right now as the instruction person, comes from the English department, has done a pretty good job, Tori. I hope that we find the right person to fit the position and keep the college moving in a positive direction.
Next, Dougal Nelson.
So I think the roles of Blackhawk College are so important in our community. I think the new VP of instruction needs to have a special skill set. Communication, we've talked about it over and over and over again. I think that's the number one thing they need to be able to do. I also believe in the curriculum, and we've talked a lot. We've heard some overtones of should Blackhawk College offer 4-year degrees, right? We need someone that can come in there and understand what that looks like, what that means to our community. Someone that understands the issues in our community, someone that understands, why do I keep hearing that we just can't get help, right? Why do I keep hearing that, right? Well, I think if we listen to our community and we react to those questions, it will be in a much better place.
Next, John Looney.
Blackhawk College is one college, 2 campuses. It is a multi-campus institution. Finding someone who has multi-campus institution experience, who has the communication skills, who have the skills to work in a multi-campus institution is not something that is very easy. The number one thing is going to be communication for this person, also having a good sense of looking ahead, looking forward. Communication with faculty is vital for this position. They have to be able to not only communicate with faculty, they have to be able to articulate what is going on with Higher Education Board, ICCB with Illinois. They've got to be able to translate all that down and make it seamless to the faculty. The faculty should just worry about going and working with the students. The Vice President of Instruction is the one who makes that all possible. Finding someone who is used to a multi-campus environment. Also think about the time of year. Faculty, or I should say not only faculty, but administration don't typically leave mid-year. They'll probably start around July 1st, which is another challenge.
Okay. Let's see. Next. How will the board adapt to any future state and federal funding changes? And what changes do you foresee? Order. Let's see. How about Doug Strand?
Well, along with the City Council of Kewanee, finances are always important. And having been on the City Council, I understand some of those needs. As I mentioned before, the state of Illinois General Assembly offers so much money as our budget. And they never come through. They're always short. Most people understand that. Last year or so, it was over $600,000 they pulled back. So short us. So now that's a lot of people. That's a lot of programs. That's a lot of other stuff. Someone asked me, he says, Mr. Strand, you're on the TRS board. What did they short you? The TRS was shorted about $3.1 billion. So the state of Illinois has its problems. The governor says it's $3.25 billion under budget. Well, that's going to affect a lot of people, state, colleges, counties. You have to keep talking to representatives. I know some of the representatives. I've been harassing them, and they go, Mr. Strand, I know, we're short the college, we're short TRS, we're doing the best we can. We didn't do that. I says, no, you may not have done that, but it is on your plate, and they know it.
Next, Mark Carlson.
So I think, again, Doug is right. For one thing is staying in touch with the representatives and trying to minimize what could come or what potentially will come. Then it gets back to adapting. If there is a change, it becomes a time of finding out how to function and have all the services that you need to provide and make sure that there's no shortage to the students and to the faculty, and you have to adapt to the changes. I've been on a number of boards, and sometimes you don't know till it gets there, but the thing is, you work hard, you work diligently, and you have to find a way through it. But the key is trying to minimize what we can do, working with our representatives.
Next, John Looney.
Folks, I don't know how you define fun. I'll tell you how I define fun. Getting elected to a community college trustee position in a budget crisis in the middle of a union contract negotiation. That was my first term. That was my first month of office. The number one things that concerned me then was MAP grants and Pell grants for students. It's the money for students that we really need to worry about with the federal dollars and also at the state. That is the big thing, making sure students have access to those dollars. What we've done in the past and what we should be doing is we should be preparing our foundations, leveraging our foundations, also leveraging our funds at the college to also save so we can supplement in times like this. Other things we need to be looking at is with the stuff that's going on with the Federal Department of Education, things are going to get bogged down because things are in upheaval right now. That's going to throw things for students into crisis. It's going to throw things for potentially some, not degrees, but trying to get new curriculum and other things into crisis as well. We need to be able to figure out how to not only navigate that, but we need to make sure our students right now are going to be able to succeed and get to graduation.
Next, Dougal Nelson.
Yeah, John, great answer. I think, we're in a geopolitical storm right now, right? We don't know where the money's coming from. It brings me back to losing a large grant when I was with Junior Achievement, or still am, and it became very obvious at that point that we needed to diversify our funding sources, right? That we could not depend on just those federal dollars or state dollars to come in. I think, when funding dries up, when the Department of Education, is backlogged and we have to wait for those funds to come in, it's a burden on the students. It's really, those are the people that are going to lose in this whole battle of the students. We've got to find out different ways. We've got to do our foundations. We have two foundations, right? We have the East Foundation and the Quad Cities Foundation. I think, fundraising. I'm a born fundraiser. That's what I do. That's where I ended up where I'm at. And I think we need to do a better job of fundraising within our communities, within Kewanee, and within the Quad Cities to supplement these shortfalls.
This question. If Blackhawk College received a $1 million grant, which could be used in any way you please, what would you use it for and why? And I'll pick an order. Let's do John Looney.
Thanks.
Yeah. You wanted more time to think about it, right?
No, I got it. I'm going to roll with it. So,
okay.
$1 million, you're talking one-time funds. So one-time funds, what we'd be talking about here is I would like to try to reach out to all the students, and I would like to give them either a discount on classes, one time, or make it so that they can, let's say they're taking a track of classes. Let's say they register for 3 classes. Maybe that 4th class is free. Let's maybe offer them something like that. Let's offer them some money. Let's offer them some incentive to come to Blackhawk College. But also, let's offer them some return on what they're going to invest in as well. So I would like to take that, put that into students. I think that's our most precious resource. I think that's the most valuable use of money, especially when you're talking about $1 million. We could do it for other things such as programs, but it has to be student focused. And we have to be very deliberate in how we use it, and we also have to make a good decision how we're going to use it as well. We can't just willy-nilly just say, hey, this technology looks great. It may not be viable in a couple of years, so that's how I use it.
Next, Mark Carlson.
So I think the first thing would be to look at the money and what the ties are to it, and where, if it's college and what it can be spent on. Look at the most important needs, but if there's an opportunity to use some of that, because we are in a time where we don't know what's coming ahead. Okay, so if it could be used in a fashion or held for what we may be facing here shortly, it just depends. I don't know that I'd be in a quick hurry to spend it. I would think our current board member here will probably have a pretty good idea where the needs are a little better. But I think I'd be a little cautious on how quickly looking for an avenue to spend it, other than looking more for where's the most benefit and making sure it's maybe the safety net going forward.
Next, Doug Strand.
Yes, thank you. Mark, I think that's a good key point. You don't want to just take the money and run with it and spend it unwisely. Take a look at the different programs you have. You may have to divide it up appropriately to different programs and stuff like that. Like I'm on the Quad City Campus Foundation Board, and I would think about taking some of it, if not maybe all of it, and giving it to some to the East Campus, some to the Quad City Campus, and allowing students to apply for that to help them out, to get enrollment. As I said, most people, every meeting it's enrollment. I would also, I know there was a couple of young ladies at the last meeting in Kewanee who wanted to start a trap shooting team, and they already do that. And I thought, well, we have to find funding for that. So maybe there's other little bits and pieces to find to put the money in certain places. Again, that's a tough question. $1 million could fit a lot of places. But I would agree with Mark and the rest here that make sure we do it right. Just make sure we do it right.
Next, Dougal Nelson.
Yeah, $1 million is a lot of money, right? I mean, my first knee-jerk reaction is let's just put it in an endowment. We get a percentage of that every year. That helps us pay for scholarships, things like that, and it never runs dry. But the other piece too is we have to invest in our future at Blackhawk College. We have to invest in our faculty. If our students see that our faculty are top-notch, they're going to be more inclined to come to the campus, right? If we can make some promises about, you know, how do we align ourselves with different businesses in the Quad Cities and Kewanee, and how do we align ourselves so that, you know, the community is part of the college now, right? So are there opportunities for workforce readiness, things like that we can invest in locally that can help our students?
Okay, looks like there might be a question at the floor mic.
Yes. Hi, I'm Gail Gerard, and I taught at Blackhawk here for 10 years. Currently, I'm teaching English as a second language at the Community Education Center. I'm in a unique position. I taught pretty much every grade level in my 25 years of teaching. I was very happy when I got a job at Blackhawk, first as an adjunct, and then was actually by fall of 2007, I was hired full-time. I left after 10 years. One of the VPs came up to me and said, "Congratulations on your retirement, Gail." And I said, "I quit." And he was rather surprised to hear that. There were a lot of struggles. There was a lot of frustration. I taught silly things like speech, intercultural communication, interpersonal communication, English 102, Introduction to Theater, Introduction to American Film. These were classes that really didn't have a lot of value, I think. I don't feel there was a lot of respect there. And I don't think toward me, I think toward what I was teaching. When I left...
Gail, do you have a question?
Yes. When I left, I really thought that things would change. Things have not changed. So maybe I'm not asking a question, I'm making a statement. The CEC is underutilized. I don't know what your plans are for the CEC locally. I have no idea what's happened out on that campus, but I do know that, you know, we have classes we can offer there. Is there any way that we could advertise? Is there any way that we could get maybe public relations to pay more attention to our location?
Is that directed to all of us, or?
Yes, to all of them. Okay, now let me pick an order. Okay, let's go. Dougal Nelson.
Yeah, I think the media can be our friend. And they can be our foe, right? When we've got good news to share, we need to share it. you know, when we offer programs that you spoke of, and maybe there, a couple of them maybe fit, and a couple of them maybe just that, you know, underwater basket weaving or whatever we called it when we were in college. But I really believe that if we pay attention to our state curriculums, that we find programs that have value. When we talk to students at junior achievement, we talk about high worth careers. We talk about hot careers. You know, where are the jobs at? Where do we go, right? I think the college, if we're not aligned with that, we're cheating ourselves and we're cheating our students. Does that answer your question?
No, really.
Okay, second is Doug Strand.
Actually, the utilization of the CEC is underutilized. And we have great facility there, along with the welding lab, which is state-of-the-art. You know, you have 3 buildings here in the area from the college that generates jobs and stuff like that. I have been asking probably 10, 12 years why we don't check with Riemann Harley-Davidson, at least in my mind. Why do we not use that place, Riemann's, to open up a tech center at the CEC, have classes there, work over at Riemann's. I bought my Harley there years ago, great reputation, and I've been asking, you know, get Harley to come with us and work with us and get something going there, and that you could utilize those classes. You know, I agree, it's underutilized, but I've been trying to get this Harley-Davidson thing going, and I've been shot down a couple times. But I keep pushing it. Thank you.
And next, Mark Carlson.
So the first thing I would say is, as I started this journey towards this, I have met with a lot of the retirees, administration and other retirees from the college, and sat down and talked to them. And in listening, you know, the knowledge that you bring and the experience, if anything, I've learned a lot out of meeting those groups, okay? Things that, of course, I didn't know. And hopefully will be something that I can help bring to the board, okay, and bring a direction. So I would say that the biggest point for me is to sit with people who know and have the experience that can share what you know, and bring a new perspective, or bring a perspective to the board that maybe hasn't been there. Because there is sometimes a need for some change, and you know, that's where I've learned the most, and just listening to you for a few minutes was very insightful.
Don Mooney.
You know, I was there when the CEC was built. I was there with you at Blackhawk College. I can tell you BHC was a family, and I watched that family got torn apart. It saddened me, which is why I ran for board the first time, to help try to bring the Blackhawk College family back. The CEC is a great facility. What it needs is it needs more of a partnership in the community. We need to bring people in, and we need to have it be a place of education. And we're going to do that by working through community groups. We're going to do that by working with our local officials. We're going to do that by asking people like you, Gail, and people who work in CEC, where's our opportunities? Because when we start listening not only to our community members, but also our staff and faculty and our administration, and working together, then we will fix the problem, and we will then have success for our students.
It is now time to do the closing statements in reverse ballot order. You have 2 minutes. First is Dougal Nelson.
Thank you. I think we're very fortunate to have both campuses in our region. I think Blackhawk College is a great place to start. I know it was for me. My 2 years at Blackhawk really gave me a sense of purpose and a belief in myself. I don't know if without Blackhawk, if I'd be sitting in this chair today. I've always taken great pride in my ability to collaborate with others, to communicate with transparency, to think creatively and critically. I think the mission of Blackhawk College is so clear and concise, right? What we're trying to do is, inspire students, develop talent, and strengthen our communities, right? I love that. I live that every day, junior achievement, and that's what I want to see at Blackhawk College, right? Let's get our kids prepared for the workforce. Let's get them prepared for the future. You know, if I'm elected, I'll make a commitment to Kewanee that I will be here, that I will come to town, that I will attend city council meetings, that I will attend board meetings at Blackhawk College East, and I'll listen to our community. And I'll make sure that that voice is heard at every level where it's the most important. So thank you for your consideration. Hope you'll vote for me on April 1st.
Next, John Looney.
First of all, thank you, Ms. Hillman, and thank you everyone for attending today. Thank you for your questions, and also thank you everyone for having a conversation about the positive future of Blackhawk College. Blackhawk College's best days are ahead of us. They're not behind us, folks. We've had a small enrollment bump this year. Overall, community colleges are up 8.9% in Illinois. That's a positive thing. We need to keep that momentum going. We need to look at things, I've already mentioned the community college bachelorette degrees. That is House Bill 3717. I filed a witness slip as a proponent for that yesterday. It was in hearing today. So we will hopefully find out later tonight or tomorrow where that stands. Why that's important at Blackhawk College, that gets our students it gives them a place to go, and it gets them into the workforce quicker, and with the bachelorette degrees that Blackhawk College could offer. They would be a technical bachelor's degree. I believe in that. That is one of the reasons why I'm running. I think that East Campus will be perfectly suited for it. Some other things, just real quick. We do have some very good ag news as far as the horse judging teams, the Western Riding, Hunt Seat, and Livestock judging team. They all had great years. We need something more at that campus than just ag. We also need to look at things like trap shoot, which was mentioned by Mr. Strand. That was mentioned at a board meeting. Something that I have supported for many years. Ladies and gentlemen, I can hit the ground running. I'm accessible not only here in Kewanee, but I'm accessible in the Quad Cities as well. I will always take your phone calls. I'm always welcome a conversation about Blackhawk College. Blackhawk College is what makes the economic engine for our city and for our district go. Thank you. I hope you vote for me on April 1st.
Next, Mark Carlson.
So again, thank you for the invite. Thank you for all putting this on and being here tonight. I definitely, my whole life has been, if I can touch it, I can fix it. That has been my background, doing service industry for 36 years and continue on through the other careers that I've taken after retirement because I don't like to sit idle. Again, I'm sitting between three people that I totally respect. You don't have anybody up here that's going to be a negative on that board. So I would love the opportunity to be part of it. Again, I'm sitting between the experience that knows a lot of answers and can't say anything, but I do respect them. I would love the opportunity. I've learned a lot just meeting with the different staff members and the retirees, and I have a passion for it. I can clearly say without Blackhawk College and the 2 years that I spent there and the two people that influenced me, I would not be sitting here. So I would really appreciate your vote and the opportunity to try to live up to what the board of Blackhawk College is.
Next, Doug Strand.
Thank you, Carla, and the League of Women Voters of Kewanee, and thank you for coming out in this weather. I'd like to do something where I do know all three gentlemen, and I won't say how long one of them is unless he wants to say it. One of them was one of my students, so to say. I did have worked with JA, which is an excellent organization, for about 35 years. I've had again, hundreds of students over 40 years I've sent to Blackhawk, and I think Mr. Nelson said it's a great place to start, and I'd like to have us do that again. It's a good place to start. I'll give you a real quick thing. I've had lots of parents, and I had one just last week. Strand. My kid went to Blackhawk. Greg had 2 kids go to Blackhawk. He worked for the city of Moline. They went to Blackhawk. They then went on. They got a good foundation. Thank you. And they have very little student debt. You know what I mean? Too many people have gone off, and some of them have come back to Blackhawk. I've seen, and that's okay. I could tell you a lot of stories. But I think it's a great place to start. It's a good place to be, whether it's Quad Cities, East Campus, and again, I want to see more cooperation between them. Like I said, to get some of the student government people to go back and forth to get the experience out here. It is different. I grew up in South Chicago. You can't get much more urban than that. I went to school in Iowa. I had roommates that were Iowa farm boys, so I baled hay. I did all that stuff. I've enjoyed being on the board, and I'm hoping that I have done a decent enough job where I can ask for the votes from people. And there's some people here that I know. I also have students living in Kewanee who fill me in quite a bit. I would say a name, but he said, be careful, don't. He's an administrator at one of the schools that I helped, who worked for me when he was 10, 11, 12, up to 16. Mr. Hinton. Anybody know Mr. Hinton at the junior high?
Yes.
One of my students. So thank you much. The opening statement, I was nervous. Sorry, I shouldn't be, but I was. I feel much better now. Thank you much. Again, these guys are all, I'm not going to say a bad thing about anybody. These guys are all good guys. I think you have your choices. 2 out of 4. You pick. Thank you.
Okay, I'll tell a little about what we thought would be the next portion of the forum. I think you can just stay seating, because I don't think you need to change for the next group. First of all, I want to check and make sure, are there any candidates here from the Kewanee Township trustee race? Okay. We had planned to have the Kewanee Township trustee race take part in this forum. 5 are running, and you may vote for up to 4 on the ballot. And in the closing remarks, I'll tell you how you can see that ballot. Okay, otherwise we'll just move on to closing remarks. We would like to thank the candidates for taking time from their busy schedules to participate in tonight's forum. A special thanks to the City of Kewanee for allowing us to host this forum here. I would also like to thank Jennifer Russell and Regional Radio for airing tonight's forum. Also, Kewanee Voice and Regional Radio publicized the event in press releases and announcements. Election Day is Tuesday, April 1st, when you can vote in person at your precinct. You may early vote at the Henry County Clerk's Office in the courthouse in Cambridge until March 31st. Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on Saturday, March 29th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. There are other non-competitive races on the ballot for Kewanee residents that include Library Board, Kewanee School Board, Park Board, Township Offices of Supervisor, Clerk, Road Commissioner, and Assessor for both Kewanee and Wethersfield Townships, also Wethersfield Township Trustee, and the Regional Board of School Trustees. You may also refer to the Henry County website, look under Elections to find a sample ballot, or you can also click on, it says List of Participants, and for other election information. Also, sample ballots are available in a pile on a table out in the atrium, so as you leave and so forth, you can pick up a sample ballot, which is for the entire county. You may also go online to the website, illinoisvoterguide.org, powered by the League of Women Voters of Illinois, for more information. The League of Women Voters of the Kewanee area sponsors candidate forums to provide an opportunity for the voters to become better informed about the candidates. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government, works to increase and to influence public policy through education and advocacy. Those who would like to like further information about the League of Women Voters of the Kewanee area, may contact me, Carly Hellman, at 309-852-5215, or my email, which is hillmanc, HILLMANC, 1955@gmail.com. Also, we have a Facebook page under League of Women Voters of the Kewanee area. We hope we have provided you with some useful information. Thank you for listening. Please exercise your right to vote. Audience members here are reminded that they may stay for refreshments in the atrium out there and meet the candidates. We are done.